Today we're going to take a bit more of a thorough look at the expansion pack because we got a lot of questions in the last video about the use case of this in terms of wiring, batteries, dummy battery and all that kind of stuff. The last video was quite long, so I wanted to split it up and hopefully I can just power through this one, you know, in a quick punchy video and show you a bit more in terms of general use. And what I just want to say is that the expansion pack is something for me. You know, we built this for me, for my use. I'm a very varied user. We shoot weddings, events, you know, films, commercials, all sorts of stuff. And I wanted something that was highly versatile, but very affordable, okay? I've had the FX3 for quite a while now and I have no plans on upgrading. Even if they release a Mark II version, this camera does everything I need and it's right here. There's no reason for me to upgrade this at all, but I do want to expand on its capabilities, you know? The expansion pack will cost you pretty much the same as a decent NPF battery and, you know, less than a Sony battery. It's kind of a no-brainer, you know? It gives you a nice professional look, but it's so affordable. Without me rabbiting on anymore, let's just go straight in and let's hit these points one by one. So first of all, I want to talk about the wiring. So I'm just going to punch in a bit on this. And you can see now that everything is wired up. We've got the data cable that's going to the record button. So if I press record, you can see it records there. We've got the red cable that's going into my microphone on this side. You can just see the mic here. We've got the USB-C that's powering the camera as well. So if you look closely at the screen, you can see the battery icon is being charged here. Now, when you saw the last video, this is the old version of the back, which takes the NPF. And we did a poll on Instagram about, you know, the battery type which people wanted. And it was overwhelmingly geared towards or pointed towards V-mount. So what we did, instead of just making a cheese plate on the back, like, you know, I've got this cheese plate on the bottom, a single one, rather than just making a cheese plate on the back, we looked around and found a really nice L-shaped cheese bracket. Now, when you connect this to your 3D printed body, it's going to give you the most tension on the body to make it super strong. Now, don't get me wrong, I showed the strength test of helicoils, so this is gonna hold this. I've got 4 helicoils in this. This is gonna hold it, no problem. But with the other one, it's gonna be even more stable than what I've got here. And then you can just put whichever type of battery you want on the back. Now, with my one, you can see that the batteries are coming out of the bottom here. And this is how I like it. I like to keep my wires hidden. Even this is a bit too messy for me. Even though they're tucked out the way, it's a bit messy for me. I would probably tidy these up if I was doing, you know, going out on a proper shoot. But with the other one, you'd have to use cable tidies on the, you know, the bottom side, top or whatever. And yeah, that's the way I do the battery. Now, if I wanted to change to a V-mount, I can actually hot swap this because I'm using the internal battery. I charge the internal battery to 100%. Then, before I start the job, I can use NPF batteries and I can just take this off, which won't turn off the camera. And then I have this, which is a NPF to V-mount adapter, and I can just put this one on. And then from there, I can then turn on my EVF. So let me turn this on right now. The EVF itself is getting its power from the NPF plate, and then we can see the HDMI just here that's going into the Sony. So there you can see it's fully working, and I can use my punch to zoom or you know, focus peaking or false color. You know, I can do all of that stuff. And this is the way I like it. The dummy battery, we could have made it. We could have made it with some slots at the bottom, making you have to take off your door of the FX3 and then maybe run cables out the side. But to me, that defeats the object. Why would you use a dummy battery when it's so easy to be able to hot swap on the go? We shot for 7 hours the other day, pretty much non-stop, and it was on stage. So we had to use hot swap because I couldn't, you know, turn off the camera if the internal battery dies. So being able to hot swap was a lifesaver for me. And if we was to do a internal battery, we have to figure out, are you going to take off the battery door? Are you going to put a big gap in the bottom like you can see on this Fuji rough build? that the door can slot into, then the cables come out. It starts to get a bit messy. So we wanted to leave it a really simple product, which people can actually print very easily and just get the maximum benefit out of it. This is an STL, so you can remix it. If you want an Apple AirTag slot, put one in the body somewhere. If you want to use a dummy battery, maybe make your cuts and do a dummy battery. But structurally, we wanted to leave it as strong as it is, because we had one comment about, this is not good being on one screw, or we should make it anti-twist. This thing cannot twist. It's impossible for the camera to twist. Once you've put it in at the bottom and you've tightened it down, there's no room for it to move backwards and forwards because the body is against the 3D print, so it cannot move. It's super strong. And we also got comments about the heat, the ventilation. And in the first video, if you watch, and listen, we made the vent at the bottom and that pushes the heat out the side here. This is a proper vent. The other side is just for looks, but this one is actually a proper vent which the heat dissipates, yeah? And I spoke about having the screen out, and this is why we made the screen guards. So if I punch in again, we made the screen guards. This is gonna get a redesign actually, but we made the screen guards because the screen should always face out. If you leave this tucked in, there's no way for the heat on the screen to evaporate. So we take heat very seriously. I paid a lot of money for this camera. I'm not about to break it and then lose any potential jobs that come in. A few people asked me about the EVF, and I left a link to Caleb Pike's video on DSLR video shooter of the Sakui. I'm gonna leave links to this EVF which I put in, and we're gonna leave an STL for this holder on the group as well. Now I'm gonna tell you that this is extremely ghetto, right? The way that it's attached is via 3M. Now it's very strong, it's not gonna come off anywhere. It's very strong, but the reason why I didn't really talk about it is because it's ghetto, and there's too many people who like to condemn you in posts, on videos and stuff like that. And I don't really want to get into any arguments, but basically it's a frame that is got 3M double-sided tape onto the front here, and it's extremely strong. And then you just slot the cheap loop inside it, and then you can run a little bit of bonding, glue or some sort of cement around the side to keep it in, and it won't come off. It will not come off. And for me, it does the job perfectly. For you, it might not, I don't know, but for me, it's perfect, yeah? So that is the EVF. The handle. Now we know that the handle for the Sony FX3 isn't the greatest, it's not the greatest. Whether you're using a big rig or not, it's not the greatest and it can snap. My mic holder already snapped and I barely used it, okay? So what I've got on the back here is I've got a rail from, I think this one, yeah, this one's Tilter, the rail that comes along the top here. And then this one, I can't even remember which brand this one is. It is Nicey Rig. And this connects to the audio handle, and then it's got an extra screw down here, which I can screw it down even further, giving me more stability. Now, if you don't want to buy all this stuff, we've included an STL, which will connect to the rear handle, and then it will mount to the expansion pack at the back as well. So everything is kind of joined together. I don't think you need it. If you're not rigging like more than what I'm doing here, you're not gonna need it. And I've got a lot of stuff on this back. I've got microphones, record button, I've got MPF V-mount plate, I've got the mic receiver here, I've got a wireless transmitter, mic on the side, the handles on here. There's so much stuff I've got on here that it's just absolutely incredible how much this can hold if you've got like a nice supported handle. And it's lovely in terms of weight as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip this down because I want to show you exactly why I made this. And to go from a big cinema rig like this to a handheld unit, I want to show you how I strip it down, and I'm going to do this in real time as well. So first of all, I'm going to start removing all of my cables. So HDMI goes first, microphone, then we're going to take out the data port connector. I'm glad this one's tight. And then we're going to take out the USB-C. Okay, so all of my cables are disconnected, yeah? And then I'm just going to quickly undo my monitor, my EVF, and just slide that out and just put that to the side. I'm going to get one screwdriver, and then I'm going to release the whole thing. that should do. And then just pull out the whole camera here. And that's literally it. From here, I'm straight into handheld mode. I've got none of this stuff left on. I'm straight into handheld mode and I can start shooting. And then from there, if I want to, I can then just undo my audio handle. But this is what I love about being able to disassemble the mount and, you know, all of the accessories quickly. There's not really much fuss, you know, and I can now go and shoot handheld, throw this a little tripod plate and quickly go on a gimbal. And this is what I wanted from my gear, to be highly versatile, but yet not even costing the cost of an MPF, you know, a decent MPF battery. So we've had some advice about the printing, and some people think that my prints are too excessive in terms of being too thick with the 50% infill. They said that you can do around 25 to 30% and use a gyroid infill. Now this is probably still going to give you long print times. I've seen people with 19 hours, some people have been over 1 day. But you know, it is what it is. It's a heavy duty print made to last, so just bear with it. It's not like you have to do it by hand, you know, let the machine do it. But yeah, you can possibly use lower infill and a different infill pattern like gyroid. Still keep your walls at about 4 to 5, but yeah, you might not need to use so much plastic, okay? The links that you get in the file which you download, make sure you pay particular attention to the parts that we've listed. For instance, the L-shaped cheese bracket. If you just buy the first thing, you're only going to get one piece. Make sure you get both pieces, yeah, because that's basically what you need to put this whole thing together. And on that note, I just want to say 3D printing is absolutely fantastic when it's done right. It can be extremely strong. Again, if you do the design right and everything's done right, it can be extremely strong. If you want to remix the design, go ahead, remix it. We don't care what you do with the file, as long as you don't sell it or try to sell our product anywhere. If you want to remix it to your own, you know, use cases, go ahead and be free to do that. There's no problem. This is the whole thing about this. The community doing their own thing, building rigs how they want, which is very low cost. And that's basically what it is. And I want to show you a few other things, you know, which I've got here in terms of 3D printing, which I use. Now, the key to designing and working with camera gear is that you want it to be sturdy. Strength is key, number one, and functionality. Those are very important points. And I just want to show you this handle here, which we've got called the slinger. Now, let me zoom in on this a bit. Now, this is one of our previous designs, which we used for the Cine Eclipse. And what this handle has is it has a metal rail that goes right down the middle, and it's secured at the top here by 2 screws. So inside this is actually solid metal. And then when you've got the joints, the hinges which join them, it's pure thick plastic right there. Again, something that could never snap. So when you're designing your products, try to incorporate metal inside, because it's really going to increase the strength. Just like we did with the L bracket that goes on the expansion pack, this thing is incredibly strong. You can also do things like NDs. Now, people talk about, you know, oh, I would never shoot if I didn't have internal NDs. I have multiple lenses and, you know, internal NDs is the thing. Well, I never really bothered about internal NDs, because if I was shooting an FX6 and then I was shooting with an FX30 or an FX3, I wanted my ND filters to match. So because I'm a big fan of Tiffin, I usually just put ND filters on all of the cameras anyway, just so the footage is perfectly matched, because I didn't really want to get many shifts. But obviously with the FX3, FX30, you don't really have that option. So for me, when I'm using a cinema set, the way I overcame that is to 3D print what we call is like a holder, basically. And then on the front of this is just a ND filter holder by U-Rig. I bought this a long time ago from AliExpress. And you can just put an ND filter on the top. Now this is just put in here, it's like literally just put in and screwed down. And I did put a little tiny bit of bonding glue just to make sure it's super strong. Now, when I want to change ND filter quickly, I would have one of these on the front of my lens, okay? So these lenses that have the space for the matte box and stuff like that, absolutely fantastic when you want to create custom pieces like this. So once I've got my ND filter on here, then I can use my ND filter, or if I want to take it off, I can just lift it up and shoot. And then if I want to swap lens, I can just pull this off and then put it onto another lens. and then that's it. 3D printing has changed the game for me, okay? I can't explain how much it's changed the game. Not having to worry about, buying different magnet sizes or for magnetic filters, and being able to use the stuff that I've already got. It's just absolutely a godsend. And everything that I do, every idea that I come up with and which Simon comes up with, we put so much thought into how it's going to work. Is it functional? How quick is it to work with? All of that thought goes into it. But combining 3D prints with metal in a way that it is just super strong, bro, I'm telling you, it will change your life. I'm not lying. I'm serious. It will change your life, because you can then, if a design doesn't work or you outgrow it or you need something else, you can just change it and then just make others. I can't really tell you how good 3D printing is. Okay, so that's it. So I hope that was enough information for the questions that you had. The dummy battery, again, I'll leave that to someone else to do a remix, because I don't use a dummy battery and I don't like the mess of using a dummy battery on a FX3 and FX30. I would rather hot swap all day long. So I hope that was informative for you. And I just want to say that we're actually going to be slowing down a bit now on Alt Cine. I think I've got 2 more reviews to come out. I've already made the videos, and I think we're going to finish, for the next few months on the Eve and the Elite. So we've got to talk about what's happening with those cameras at the moment, because there's been some big changes in the background. And I think that will be my last video for a bit. I'm feeling kind of burnt out and kind of tired, and work has been coming in like crazy now. So I'm working a lot over the next few months in terms of events and shooting and stuff. And I'm just looking forward to getting to Romania and spending some time there and relaxing and not just working. I want to eat some of that Romanian ice cream, and visit the zoo in Târgu Mureș. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So anyone's in Romania, catch us up. We're going to be in Târgu Mureș at some point in the next month or two. We'd love to meet up with you. So that's it. Take care, and I will see you on the next one later.